To move on, we've got John Ridd, who's the CEO and co-founder of Green Pixie, and John looks to empower developers to eradicate the 30% needless cloud waste across the enterprise, which I think is I think at the CIVO conference last week is the first time I really engaged with this topic, and it really resonated with me. So, John, why don't you come on board?
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And yeah, it's great to be here with Open UK. Us as a company wouldn't exist with open source software. And yeah, the data processing example in the last presentation really rang true. We do a lot of that. And yeah, very relevant to be here. So I'm John Ridd. I brought cloud computing emissions to COP27 for the very first time. And I really appreciate you coming here today to listen to me bring attention to this issue. It is reported by the BBC by 2040 that cloud computing emissions can make up 18% of global emissions. And in this session, I'll be giving you a brief introduction of what these cloud computing emissions are and what can be done at the enterprise level to combat them. So let's start at the beginning. What is cloud computing? Cloud computing refers to the on-demand computing service provided by Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. These mega corporations own these huge physical data centers all around the world, which contain the server hardware that essentially powers digital enterprise as we know it. Put simply, enterprises are flexibly renting servers from these data centers. This gives software engineers access to infinite scale-up computation on demand, allowing companies to build better, faster, new products faster than ever before. Be it OpenAI, Netflix, or IBM, enterprises are really building all their economic value in the cloud when it comes to digital. A great example of this is ChatGPT, which reached 100 million users in just 3 months. And how this was made possible was by cloud computing. So software engineers were scaling up these servers remotely in order to cater to this escalating demand, which is largely unpredictable. So when you think of the cloud, don't think iPhotos. Think heavy-duty expansion tool for enterprise. As you may expect, it's not cheap. In fact, cloud computing has become the second largest expense for enterprise, which is just after employees, with many corporations and enterprises spending hundreds of millions of pounds on the cloud every year. And this figure is predicted to surpass $1 trillion by 2027. There's a reason that AWS is making so much money, and that is it. So now we know the economics, let's zoom into the data centers themselves, where this is actually happening. As you can see pictured above, cloud data centers are vast warehouses, houses containing thousands upon thousands of servers. And this is rarely visible to the public eye. And here lies the sustainability impact that I am going to talk about today. So currently, 3% of global emissions are taken up by these data centers. And to put that into context, that is more than the entirety of the aviation industry. So data centers are causing more emissions than all the airlines in the world. So this issue of cloud emissions has started to crop up more and more in the news as of late. This is particularly due to their rampant electricity use. And this problem isn't far away from my home in London, as you can probably tell from my accent. It was reported by The Times that tens of thousands of new homes in housing projects have now been cancelled or delayed due to the insufficient electricity supply available in the grid to run these residential homes. And the reason is these huge data centers taking up all the electricity capacity from the grid. And this is nowhere near a lone case. In Ireland, data centers in Ireland now take up more electricity from the grid than all urban households. That's currently at 18%. And of course, such large-scale electricity use naturally leads to carbon emissions. But it isn't just electricity that is causing cloud emissions. As mentioned earlier, Scope 3 and supply chain is where the real issue lies. An analogy that I'm going to steal is if you think of all of emissions as a pint of Guinness, Scope 3 is the Guinness, and Scope 1 and Scope 2 is the froth on top. So whenever you hear Scope 3, think of Guinness. The huge factor to consider is the supply chain of these metal servers being used in these data centers. Each server lasts around 4 years before it becomes uneconomical, meaning there's an endless demand for the rare materials needed to produce and manufacture these servers. So these supply chain, or Scope 3, or Guinness, emissions associated with the physical server also extend to the running of the data centers themselves and the water they use. A recent primetime BBC Panorama documentary, I believe called Is the Cloud Damaging the Planet?, highlighted that a single data center in Nevada needed 1 billion liters of water to cool its servers a year. So it's this part of a cloud providers like AWS, Microsoft Azure's Scope 3 emissions that can make up around 70–80% or more of an enterprise's cloud carbon footprint. And it is the combination of this electricity use and the supply chain that's needed to maintain these data centers, which accounts for 1 billion tons of CO2 produced per year. This hidden issue of cloud enterprise emissions is of serious environmental concern, and I hope I've made that clear. But there is hope. Since 2021, I've been on a mission to put this issue of cloud sustainability above ground, and that's why I founded Green Pixie. Yep. Animation's working, great. Green Pixie helps enterprises by bringing visibility over their carbon footprint in the cloud by utilizing billions of lines of data that catalog behavior in the cloud. And by processing this behavior data, with our carbon algorithms, we can add emissions metrics to every single action that software engineers are taking in the cloud. Not only does this bring visibility to enterprise for up-and-coming EU regulation for compliance reasons, more importantly, this data reveals opportunities for software engineers to reduce these cloud emissions at source from behind their laptop. 30% of cloud use is estimated to be waste, meaning that of the 1 billion tons of CO2 emitted from the cloud last year, 300 million tons can be reduced. This represents a massive and unique opportunity to reduce hundreds of millions of tons of CO2. By connecting the technical ability of software engineers with enterprise leadership, with the wider sustainability goals of companies, we can reduce these 300 million tons of CO2 at source. Sustainability is now a major KPI for CEOs, CIOs, and CTOs. But how many are looking to their software engineers to take action on the cloud currently? It is a startling opportunity, which is made all the better when you consider the $100 billion of the $100 billion of enterprise cloud spend that has been wasted with cloud providers such as AWS and Microsoft Azure. So there's no reason that enterprises shouldn't be taking action against this cloud waste issue. So this sustainability and cost-saving opportunity is within reach. And now the industry is waking up and moving to reduce this huge source of emissions. I hope you now have a grasp on this hidden emissions in enterprise cloud and what can be done to reduce this 300 million ton issue. If you'd like to talk to me further, I'll be around at lunch. And yeah, thank you very much for having me today. Thanks.